I can't do this, I whispered, staring at the narrow airplane door. Ma'am, please move forward, the flight attendant said gently. I just need a second, I said, gripping my bag. First flight? She asked. I nodded. You'll be okay. Seat 18A. Window. My worst nightmare, I muttered. A man behind me sighed. Some of us have connections. I'm sorry, I said, my voice shaking. I'm really sorry. I stepped into the aisle. My legs felt weak. My hands felt cold. The plane smelled like metal and coffee. Keep moving, someone whispered. I am moving, I whispered back. I found my seat. Window. Tight space. Too close. Too loud. Why did I choose this seat? I said under my breath. I dropped into it. My bag fell to my feet. Great, I said. I bent down. My hands shook as I picked it up. Are you okay? A calm male voice asked. I'm fine, I said fast. I will be. He smiled slightly. First flight. Is it that obvious? You're gripping your bag like it's a life jacket. I might need it, I said. He chuckled. You won't. You don't know that. I do. Planes don't just fall. That's what everyone says before they fall, I said. He raised an eyebrow. Comforting. I'm not good at this, I said. Neither am I, with awkward silence, he said. I can fix that, I said. I can scream. Please don't, he said. I can't promise. The seatbelt sign blinked on. Oh no, I whispered. You should buckle up, he said. I know, I said. My hands aren't listening. Here, he said. May I? Yes, I said. He leaned over and clicked my seatbelt. Thank you, I said. No problem. What if the engine explodes? I asked. It won't. What if we hit a bird? Still fine. What if the wing breaks? It won't. You're very sure. I like being alive. So do I said. That's why I'm panicking. The plane started moving. No, I whispered. You're okay, he said. I'm not. My heart pounded. My chest felt tight. Breathe, he said. I am breathing. You're hyperventilating. I don't do fear quietly, I said. The plane turned onto the runway. I don't like this, I said. You're still okay, he said. The engines roared. Oh God, I said. You're still okay, he said louder. I'm going to die, I said. You're not. The plane sped up. No, I said. I grabbed his arm. Easy, he said. I can't, I said. The wheels lifted. I screamed. Turbulence hit. I'm going to die. I shouted. I reached out again. I'm sorry. I cried. My hand landed somewhere it shouldn't. He froze. I froze. My eyes opened. Oh, I said. Oh, he said. Oh my God, I said. My hand was on him. Not his arm. Not his chest. Not his shoulder. Somewhere much worse. I didn't mean, I said. I pulled my hand back fast. I'm so sorry, I said. I panicked. He cleared his throat. It's okay. It's not okay, I said. I assaulted you. You didn't mean it. I did not mean it, I said. I swear. I believe you. I want to die now, I said. Please don't, he said. That would make this more awkward. You're joking? I cope with humor. I cope with screaming, I said. My face burned. I'm really sorry, I said. I know, he said. The plane kept shaking. Please don't shake, I said to the ceiling. You're safe, he said. I grabbed your, I said. You don't have to say it. I should move seats, I said. Please don't, he said. Why not? Because turbulence plus aisle equals more panic. That's true, I said. And because I don't want you falling into my lap next. That would be worse, I said. I'd survive, he said. You're too calm, I said. I've been through worse. Like what? Public embarrassment. You just got publicly embarrassed too, I said. I did, he said. But I lived. I will never live this down, I said. You don't know me, he said. I still grabbed you. I know. I hate planes, I said. I figured. My hands betrayed me, I said. They acted on fear. They acted on instinct, I said. My instinct is dangerous. You didn't hurt me, he said. I hurt my dignity. That's harder to heal. I stared at my ticket. It's shaking, I said. Your hand is shaking, he said. I can't stop. Here, he said. He offered his arm. You can hold this, he said. I don't trust myself, I said. Trust me, he said. I hesitated. Okay, I said. I held his arm. Thank you, I said. You're welcome. The turbulence eased. I'm still alive, I said. Yes, he said. I thought I would faint. You didn't. I almost touched you again, I said. I noticed. I'm sorry, I said. You apologize a lot. I feel guilty a lot. You're human. I'm a disaster, I said. You're scared. I'm scared of everything, I said. Why are you flying? He asked. Job interview, I said. Important. Very. What kind? Office assistant. You're nervous about that too? Yes. Double fear. Triple, I said. Planes, interviews, humiliation. You're doing fine, he said. I molested a stranger. You panicked. Still counts. I don't feel assaulted, he said. I feel embarrassed for you. That's worse, I said. He smiled. You have a nice smile, I said. Thank you. You shouldn't smile at me, I said. Why not? I don't deserve kindness. You deserve calm. I deserve punishment. Stop, he said. I ruined your flight. You didn't. I did. I was bored before you screamed. You're welcome, I said. The plane leveled out. We're flying, I said. Yes, he said. I hate that, I said. You're doing great. My heart still hurts. That's anxiety. I don't like anxiety. No one does. I wish I stayed on the ground, I said. You'd miss your interview. I'd miss this trauma. You'd miss this story. I don't want this story, I said. You'll laugh later. I won't. You will. I won't, I said. Okay, he said. Silence. Thank you for not yelling, I said. I considered it, he said. I deserve it. You don't. I grabbed your private area. You panicked. I keep saying that. Because it's true. What's your name? I asked. Daniel, he said. Oh, I'm sorry, I said. That's not your name. I forgot my name, I said. That bad? Yes. I'm Emma, I said. Nice to meet you, Emma. Not like this, I said. Like this is memorable. I hate memorable. You'll survive. I survived the grab, he said. I will never forgive myself, I said. You will, he said. I won't, I said. He looked at me. Why are you so kind? I asked. Because fear makes people do stupid things. I did a very stupid thing. You did a human thing. I closed my eyes. I hate planes, I whispered. You're safe, he said. I breathed. The turbulence returned. Oh no, I said. I'm here, he said. I won't grab you again, I said. Please don't, he said. I promise, I said. The plane shook harder. I lied, I whispered. I grabbed his arm tighter. Not lower, he said quickly. I know, I said. I'm scared, I said. I know. I can't do this, I said. You're doing it. I want off. We're midair. I regret my life choices, I said. You'll land soon. What if we don't? We will. I don't trust the sky, I said. You trust me. I barely know you. You grabbed me. That doesn't mean trust. That means connection. That means trauma, I said. The shaking stopped. I exhaled. I'm still alive, I said. Yes, he said. I didn't grab you again, I said. I noticed. I'm proud of myself, I said. You should be. The seatbelt sign stayed on. I'm not relaxed, I said. You don't have to be. I hate heights, I said. You're not looking out the window. I refuse. You can look at me. That's less scary, I said. He smiled. Thank you for not being a jerk, I said. You're welcome. I don't deserve this kindness, I said. You deserve calm. I held my bag. I brought this lucky keychain, I said. What is it? A tiny airplane, I said. Ironic, he said. I thought it would protect me. Did it? I grabbed you. That's protection in a weird way. I hate this, I said. You'll be okay. The plane shook again. I swear if I grab you again, I said. Please don't finish that sentence, he said. I'm scared, I said. I'm here, he said. I closed my eyes. I didn't know this fear would change my life, I whispered. What? He asked. Nothing, I said. But my heart knew something terrible and powerful had just started. I'm sorry, I said again. I'm so sorry. It's okay, he said quietly. It's not okay, I said. I touched you. You panicked, he said. I grabbed you, I said. You were scared, he said. I humiliated myself, I said. You survived, he said. I want to disappear, I said. Please don't, he said. I'm still sitting here. I ruined your flight, I said. You didn't, he said. I grabbed your private area, I said. You grabbed because turbulence hit, he said. That doesn't make it better, I said. It makes it human, he said. I should move seats, I said. No, he said. Why not? I asked. Because you're shaking, he said. And I don't want you panicking alone. I don't deserve kindness, I said. You deserve calm, he said. I don't deserve your calm, I said. You don't get to decide that, he said. I pressed my hands into my lap. They're still shaking, I said. I see, he said. I hate my body, I said. It tried to protect you, he said. It betrayed me, I said. It reacted, he said. I embarrassed you, I said. You startled me, he said. That's worse, I said. I'm fine, he said. You're too calm, I said. I've handled worse, he said. Like what? I asked. Board meetings, he said. That explains nothing, I said. He smiled. I hate that you're smiling, I said. Why, he asked. Because I don't deserve lightness, I said. You deserve air, he said. And breath. I forgot how to breathe, I said. Try again, he said. I inhaled. I exhaled. I still feel like dying, I said. You're still alive, he said. I wish the plane would land, I said. We just took off, he said. I regret everything, I said. You don't regret coming here, he said. I regret this flight, I said. You need this job interview, he said. How do you know? I asked. You said it, he said. I say things when I panic, I said. You said the truth, he said. I say stupid things, I said. You said you were scared, he said. I am scared, I said. I can tell, he said. I looked at my bag. It fell again, I said. I can get it, he said. No, I said. I don't trust my hands. They won't betray you again, he said. They already did, I said. They learned their lesson, he said. They don't listen to me, I said. They listen when you grabbed my arm, he said. That was a threat, I said. That was fear, he said. I hate fear, I said. So do I, he said. The plane shook. Oh no, I said. I'm here, he said. I'm not grabbing you again, I said. Please don't, he said. I promise, I said. The shaking stopped. I lied earlier, I said. About what? He asked. I said I could handle this, I said. You are handling it, he said. I touched you, I said. You apologized, he said. That doesn't erase it, I said. It changes it, he said. How? I asked. It makes it human, he said. I don't feel human, I said. You're crying, he said. That's human. I hate crying, I said. It releases fear, he said. I hate fear, I said again. I know, he said. I wiped my eyes. I'm ruining your flight, I said. You're giving me a story, he said. I don't want to be a story, I said. You already are, he said. I hate being memorable, I said. You'll laugh later, he said. I won't, I said. You will, he said. I hate optimism, I said. I like survival, he said. That's dramatic, I said. So is grabbing a stranger, he said. I hate you, I said. You don't, he said. I hate myself, I said. That makes more sense, he said. The flight attendant walked past. Everything okay here? She asked. Yes, he said. No, I said. I'm okay, I corrected. First flight? She asked. Yes, I said. She panicked, he said. I assaulted him, I said. She panicked, he repeated. The flight attendant smiled gently. It happens, she said. It does not happen, I said. It happens more than you think, she said. I grabbed him, I said. She grabbed because turbulence, he said. I touched his private area, I said. The flight attendant froze. Oh, she said. I'm so sorry, I said. She's sorry, he said. It's okay, the flight attendant said slowly. It's not, I said. She didn't mean it, he said. She's scared, the flight attendant said. I'm mortified, I said. You're safe, the flight attendant said. I want to die, I said. Please don't, she said. I ruined everything, I said. You didn't, she said. I touched him, I said. You apologized, she said. That doesn't erase it, I said. It starts healing it, she said. I looked at him. I'm sorry, I said again. I know, he said. The flight attendant left. I told her, I said. You told the truth, he said. I embarrassed you in front of staff, I said. You survived, he said. I want off this plane, I said. You can't, he said. I regret my life, I said. You'll laugh later, he said again. I won't, I said. You will, he said. I hate you for saying that, I said. You don't, he said. I stared at my hands. They're dirty, I said. They're scared, he said. They touched you, I said. They reacted, he said. They betrayed me, I said. They saved you, he said. I hate your logic, I said. You're still here, he said. That's not logic, I said. That's proof, he said. The plane shook again. I swear if I grab you again, I said. Finish that sentence and I will scream, he said. I won't, I said. I promise, I added. I trust you, he said. You shouldn't, I said. You apologized, he said. You forgave me too easily, I said. I don't want you suffering, he said. I deserve suffering, I said. You deserve calm, he said again. I don't deserve your calm, I said. You don't get to decide that, he said again. I looked at him. Why are you like this? I asked. Like what? He asked. Kind, I said. I choose it, he said. Why choose it for me? I asked. Because fear deserves kindness, he said. I grabbed your private area, I said again. You keep repeating that, he said. I can't stop, I said. You're punishing yourself, he said. I deserve punishment, I said. You deserve forgiveness, he said. From you? I asked. From yourself, he said. I swallowed. I don't forgive myself, I said. You will, he said. I won't, I said. You will, he said again. I hate you, I said again. You don't, he said again. I laughed once. I'm broken, I said. You're scared, he said. I'm damaged, I said. You're human, he said. I'm dangerous, I said. You're anxious, he said. I'm embarrassing, I said. You're brave, he said. I screamed, I said. You stayed, he said. I touched you, I said. You apologized, he said. I hate planes, I said. You're flying, he said. I hate myself, I said. You're surviving, he said. I closed my eyes. I wish I never sat next to you, I said. I'm glad you did, he said. Why? I asked. Because you didn't panic alone, he said. That doesn't make sense, I said. It does to me, he said. I ruined everything, I said. You started something, he said. What? I asked. A connection, he said. That's trauma, I said. That's humanity, he said. I opened my eyes. You're strange, I said. You grabbed me, he said. That doesn't make you special, I said. It makes this memorable, he said. I hate memorable, I said again. You'll laugh later, he said again. I won't, I said again. You will, he said again. The seatbelt sign stayed on. I'm still scared, I said. I'm still here, he said. I hate this flight, I said. I'm still here, he repeated. I hate my life, I said. I'm still here, he repeated again. I looked at him. You're not leaving, I said. No, he said. I don't deserve that, I said. You don't get to decide that, he said again. I held my bag tighter. My lucky keychain didn't work, I said. What is it? He asked. A tiny airplane, I said. That's cruel, he said. Ironic, I said. It kept you alive, he said. It made me grab you, I said. That's survival, he said. That's humiliation, I said. That's a story, he said. I don't want this story, I said. You already have it, he said. I stared at the seat in front of me. I ruined everything, I whispered. You didn't ruin anything, he said. I grabbed you without thinking, I said. You panicked, he said. I thought you would hate me, I said. I don't, he said. I thought you would yell, I said. I didn't, he said. I thought you would report me, I said. I won't, he said. I thought you would move seats, I said. I stayed, he said. Why? I asked. Because fear deserves kindness, he said again. I swallowed hard. I don't deserve kindness, I said. You deserve calm, he said again. I closed my eyes. I had no idea this fear would ruin my life, I whispered. It won't, he said. I had no idea grabbing you would change everything, I whispered. He didn't answer. The plane shook again. And I knew my life had just tilted into something I couldn't undo. The moment the plane doors opened, I bolted. Wait, someone called. I ignored it. I didn't look back. My legs carried me like they wanted to escape my own shame. The airport lobby was crowded, buzzing with tired travelers, rolling luggage, and the hum of announcements. I ducked behind a column, heart hammering. I needed to disappear. Emma, a calm voice said behind me. I froze. You okay? I turned slowly. My eyes landed on him. The same man from the plane. Daniel. His suit was immaculate, his posture perfect, but his eyes weren't judging. They were calm. I stammered. I'm fine. You're shaking, he said. It's okay if you're not. I wanted to deny it. I'm fine, I repeated. Your fear was real, he said softly. You didn't mean harm. I did, I said, my voice trembling. I embarrassed myself, everyone. He shook his head. No. You panicked. That's all. I opened my mouth to argue, but then I heard someone call, Sir. I peeked around his shoulder. People were gathering, bowing slightly, speaking in hushed, respectful tones. Mr. Knight, someone said. This way, sir. I blinked. My stomach dropped. Knight. I whispered. He turned toward me. Everything okay? Yes, I said quickly, but my voice lacked conviction. Your first flight? He asked. I nodded. My knees threatened to give way. A man in a suit approached him with a tablet. Sir, the board meeting is ready. The car is outside. Board meeting? Car. Sir? My mind spun. You own a company? I asked, voice barely audible. He smiled gently. Yes, but right now you're my priority. Are you okay? I laughed nervously, a sound that surprised even me. I'm just a poor girl traveling for a small job interview. I can't, I shouldn't be. You don't have to explain anything, he said. His voice was warm, steady. You were scared. You survived. I embarrassed myself, I said. I grabbed you. I panicked. I'm pathetic. You're human, he said simply. Nothing more. Nothing less. I swallowed. I don't trust rich men, I blurted. Then don't trust me, he said lightly. But know this, fear doesn't make you weak. It makes you honest. I wanted to run again, but my legs wouldn't move. Honest? I echoed. Yes, he said. Even if it's messy. I laughed bitterly. Messy doesn't cover it. He tilted his head, watching me with curiosity, patience, and something I couldn't name. You were brave, he said. Not everyone could handle what you just went through. I shook my head. I didn't handle anything. I grabbed you. You didn't harm me, he said. I know the difference between panic and malice. I stared at him. My mind reeled. Why are you being kind? Because someone had to be, he said. You didn't deserve to be shamed for being afraid. I laughed, shaking my head. I deserve everything. No, he said firmly. You deserve understanding. A car horn honked outside. His assistant called him again. Sir, your car. Looks like I must go, he said. Take care of yourself, Emma. Wait, I said. I don't even know how to. Call me if you need help. Or just someone to survive a plane ride with, he said, offering the faintest smile. I felt my cheeks burn. You're rich, I said. Yes, he said. But right now that doesn't matter. I bit my lip, overwhelmed. I don't want to be around people like you. I've been betrayed before. Then I'll be the first person not to betray you, he said. But it's your choice. I looked down at my hands, trembling. Could I trust him? Could I even trust myself? I shouldn't even be talking to you, I said. You're talking to me, he said. So you already are. I swallowed hard. I don't know what to say. Then don't say anything, he said. Just survive this day. That's enough. My chest tightened. I wanted to flee. I wanted to apologize forever. I wanted to disappear. but something in his eyes made me pause. Something soft, understanding, patient. "Thank you," I whispered. "You don't need to thank me," he said. "Just remember, fear doesn't define you. It only shows what you're made of." I nodded slowly, absorbing his words. My mind raced with disbelief. This man, this stranger, treated me with respect after the most humiliating moment of my life. He glanced at the car waiting outside. "Duty calls," he said. I wanted to speak, but no words came. "I'll see you around," he said, giving a small bow. I watched him leave, the name Knight echoing in my head. My knees felt weak. My heart still pounded. I felt small, low, stupid, and yet strangely alive. I realized then that my fear had changed something. Not just inside me, but in the world outside. Someone like him, powerful, wealthy, untouchable, had treated me as a human being. I promised myself then, I would not fall into another trap. Not fear. Not betrayal. Not anyone. And yet, I knew deep down that my life had just shifted in a way I couldn't undo. Something told me this was only the beginning. I didn't expect to see him again. Not today. Not anywhere. But there he was in the hotel lobby, adjusting his cufflinks like nothing had happened. "Emma," he said, spotting me. "You're staying here?" I nodded, gripping my bag tighter. "Yes." "Let me help," he offered, reaching for my suitcase. "I can manage," I said quickly. "You looked exhausted after the flight," he said. "I insist." I hesitated. My pride screamed at me to refuse. But my body betrayed me. I nodded. "Okay." He lifted the bag effortlessly. "There you go. Easier than struggling yourself." "Thanks," I muttered, barely meeting his eyes. "You're welcome," he said softly. "Long trip?" "Yes, first flight, terrifying, everything," I admitted. He chuckled, low and calm. I noticed. "You're brave, you know?" I snorted. "Brave? Screaming like a banshee?" "You survived," he said. "That counts." I wanted to hate him for being so composed. For being him. "So," I said, trying to change the topic, "what brings you here?" He smiled faintly. "Business. And you?" "Job interview," I said. "Office assistant. Nothing glamorous." He nodded. "Big city, small dreams, but dreams nonetheless. That's important." "Important, for survival," I muttered. He paused, looking at me closely. "And what do you survive?" I hesitated. Could I tell him? Could I trust him? "My family, it's broken," I admitted. "No one believes in me. I'm lost." He didn't flinch. Didn't judge. "I see. And yet here you are, still trying." I blinked. "You make it sound easy." "It's not," he said. "But honesty, that's courage." I swallowed. "I've lied to everyone, to survive. To feel safe. To not be hurt." "You can trust me," he said softly. "Why?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Because I choose to," he said. "And right now that's enough." I studied his face. Calm, steady, unnervingly kind. I don't know what to do with kindness." "Accept it," he said. "It doesn't require anything else." I laughed bitterly. "I'm not used to this. Rich men, they lie. They manipulate. They leave." "I'm not like them," he said, voice firm but gentle. "I've been betrayed before," I said. "It's hard to trust again." "You don't have to trust yet," he said. "Just allow yourself to breathe for a moment." I looked down at my hands. My chest felt tight, a mix of fear and something unfamiliar. "You make it sound simple," I said. "It doesn't have to be complicated," he said. "You're human, Emma. Not a story, not a spectacle. Just human." I felt warmth in my chest I hadn't felt in years. Safety. A fragile thread I almost didn't dare hold. I don't deserve this," I whispered. "You deserve calm," he said again. I bit my lip, thinking of my best friend's words. "Rich men never fall for girls like you." She was right. I shouldn't feel drawn to him. I shouldn't imagine something more. "Do you ever panic?" I asked suddenly. "Rarely," he said with a smirk. "Mostly when people grab me in midair." I flushed. "You're kidding." "No," he said, eyes twinkling. "Not kidding. You survived it gracefully." I shook my head, laughing nervously. "Gracefully?" I screamed. I flailed. I grabbed you." "And yet here we are," he said, calm as ever. "No grudges. No judgment." I swallowed hard. Something in my chest tightened. "Why are you so patient?" "Because it matters," he said. "Fear deserves patience." I blinked. The word struck me. Fear deserved patience. I had never heard anyone say that to me before. Why are you helping me? I asked, voice trembling. Because I can, he said simply. And because you let me. I looked at him, searching for a hidden motive. None appeared. Just presence. Solid, unwavering calm. Are you always this kind? I asked. Not always, he said with a faint smile. But I can be when it matters. I wanted to argue, to say that it didn't matter. But it did. And I felt it. We rode the elevator in silence. My mind raced, replaying our encounter on the plane, the way he had stayed calm when I had panicked. The way he had offered me an arm without judgment. The way his eyes seemed to see me. At the hotel floor, he handed me my suitcase. Here. Your room? Yes, I said softly. Good. Get some rest, he said. You'll need it for tomorrow. Tomorrow? I muttered, remembering my interview. Yes, he said. And whatever happens, remember, fear doesn't define you. You do. I nodded slowly. Something shifted inside me. A fragile sense of hope. I wanted to run. I wanted to fight. I wanted to deny this feeling creeping into my chest. And yet I couldn't stop thinking about him. His calm voice. His steady gaze. His kindness. I told myself she was right, my best friend. Rich men never fall for girls like me. I told myself that over and over. I kept imagining his smile. His patience. The way he didn't judge me even after everything. I didn't know it yet, but in that fleeting encounter I had let him stay close. Not just in the lobby but in my heart. And I didn't realize I was walking into love and pain at the same time. I got the job, I whispered into my phone. My best friend screamed. You're lying. I swear, I said, staring at the offer email. Office assistant. His company. His company? She asked. The plain guy. Yes, I said. Him. Emma, she warned, this is dangerous. I need this, I said. I need stability. You need distance from rich men, she said. I need a paycheck, I said. You're already falling, she said. I'm not, I lied. The first day felt unreal. Welcome to Night Industries, HR said. I'm Emma, I said. New assistant. Everyone's been talking about you, a girl said, smiling. My name is Lily, she added. We'll sit together. Thank you, I said, relieved. You're lucky, she said. You got hired fast. I worked hard, I said. And you know Mr. Knight, she said casually. My stomach tightened. Not really. You flew with him, she said. People talk. I forced a smile. Small world. She leaned closer. Is he nice? Yes, I said. Very. She smiled wider. You're lucky. Days passed. You're doing great, Lily said. Thank you, I said. Stick with me, she said. I'll protect you. I appreciate that, I said. You're too sweet, she said. You're kind, I said. She laughed. We'll be best friends. I believed her. Coffee? She asked one morning. Yes, I said. So, she said, stirring sugar. Do you like him? Who? I asked. Mr. Knight, she said. Daniel. My heart skipped. He's my boss. But you know him, she said. Better than us. I barely know him, I said. You flew with him, she said. That's intimate. It was traumatic, I said. She giggled. Still intimate. I looked away. You can tell me, she said softly. I support you. I don't know what you mean, I said. Do you talk to him? She asked. Sometimes, I said. Outside work? She asked. Once, I said. Her eyes lit up. Oh my God. Don't make it a thing, I said. It's a thing, she said. You're special. I'm not, I said. He doesn't notice girls like us, she said. He noticed you, I said. She laughed. Not like that. I smiled weakly. He asked me to dinner. I shouldn't, I said. You should, Lily said. You deserve romance. He's my boss, I said. He's a man, she said. I'm scared, I said. Don't be, she said. I support you. I went. You look nervous, he said. I am, I said. You don't have to be, he said. This is risky, I said. I know, he said. But I like you. My heart raced. I like you too, I said. Then let's keep it quiet, he said. Yes, I said. I felt chosen. I felt seen. Don't tell anyone, he said. I won't, I said. I told Lily. Only you, I said. I swear, she said. My lips are sealed. You promise? I asked. I promise, she said. I started smiling at work. You're glowing, Lily said. I'm happy, I said. You deserve it, she said. He's amazing, I whispered. Tell me everything, she said. He listens, I said. He texts me good morning, I said. He holds my hand, I said. He makes me feel safe, I said. She nodded. I'm so happy for you. I didn't see her jealousy. People are talking, she said one day. About what? I asked. About you, she said. What about me? I asked. They think you slept your way into your job, she said softly. My chest dropped. What? I defended you, she said. Who said that? I asked. Everyone, she said. It's spreading. I laughed nervously. That's crazy. It's cruel, she said. He doesn't think that, I said. He's acting distant, she said. No, I said. He's busy. He didn't reply to your message, she said. He's in meetings, I said. You sure? She asked. Yes, I said. He stopped texting good morning. Did I do something wrong? I asked him. I'm busy, he said. You seem cold, I said. Work is stressful, he said. You don't look at me anymore, I said. You're imagining it, he said. People are saying things about me, I said. Office gossip, he said. It hurts, I said. Focus on work, he said. I feel like you don't trust me, I said. I don't have time for this, he said. My throat tightened. Lily hugged me. He'll come around. You think? I asked. Yes, she said. Men get weird. Do people really think I slept with him? I asked. She hesitated. Some do. Who started it? I asked. I don't know, she said quickly. I told only you, I said. She froze. What? I asked. Nothing, she said. You told someone? I asked. No, she said. I swear. Then how do they know details? I asked. She looked away. People guess. They know things I only told you, I said. She grabbed my hand. You're paranoid. Am I? I asked. You're stressed, she said. He stopped meeting my eyes. Can we talk? I asked him. Not now, he said. You don't answer my calls, I said. I'm busy, he said. You believe the rumors, I said. People talk, he said. You don't deny them, I said. Keep your head down, he said. You're ashamed of me, I said. That's not fair, he said. You're distant, I said. You're emotional, he said. My heart cracked. Lily sat beside me. He's under pressure. You think he believes them? I asked. He's confused, she said. Did you tell anyone? I asked again. No, she snapped. Why are you angry? I asked. Because you don't trust me, she said. I trusted you, I said. She hugged me. I support you. I cried into her shoulder. The whispers got louder. She slept her way in, someone said. Gold digger, someone said. I saw her with him, someone said. He stopped sitting near me in meetings. You're embarrassing me, he said quietly. My breath caught. Embarrassing. I repeated. People are watching, he said. You're ashamed, I said. This is complicated, he said. I didn't lie, I said. You should have told HR, he said. You told me to keep it quiet, I said. I didn't expect this, he said. Do you believe them? I asked. He didn't answer. My chest collapsed. I went to the bathroom and cried. Lily followed me. He's acting weird. He believes them, I said. He's scared, she said. Of me? I asked. Of scandal, she said. I'm the scandal, I said. She hugged me again. It'll pass. Who started this? I asked again. She looked away. You did, I whispered. Her eyes widened. What? I told only you, I said. You're accusing me, she said. I trusted you, I said. You're unstable, she said. My heart shattered. He didn't text that night. He didn't call. I stared at my phone. Did you say anything about me? I texted him. No reply. My chest hurt. I didn't know who betrayed me yet, but I felt the knife in my back, and I knew my life was about to fall apart. I called him again. It went to voicemail. Please, I whispered. Just talk to me. No reply. I sent a message. Did I do something wrong? No reply. I stood outside his office door. I knocked. Come in, he said coldly. I stepped inside. You're avoiding me. I'm busy, he said without looking up. You haven't answered me in 3 days, I said. I told you I'm busy, he repeated. You don't even look at me anymore, I said. This isn't the time, he said. It's always not the time, I said. He finally looked up. His eyes were empty. People are talking, he said. I know, I said. They're lying. Are they? He asked. My chest dropped. You think I slept my way into this job? I asked. I didn't say that, he said. You didn't deny it, I said. You put me in a bad position, he said. You told me to keep it quiet, I said. I didn't expect rumors, he said. So you punish me? I asked. I can't be seen with you, he said. I'm your girlfriend, I said. You're my employee, he corrected. My hands started shaking. You don't believe me, I said. You're emotional, he said. You're ashamed of me, I said. This is complicated, he said. I didn't lie to you, I said. Just focus on your work, he said. Don't talk to me like that, I said. I don't have time for this, he said. I walked out. My coworkers went silent when I passed. Someone whispered, "Gold digger." I locked myself in the bathroom. I cried into my hands. I'm not like that, I whispered. Lily waited outside. He's under pressure, she said. He believes them, I said. He's scared, she said. Of me, I said. Of scandal, she said. I'm the scandal, I said. She hugged me. You'll be okay, she said. You told them, I whispered. She pulled back. What? I told only you, I said. You're paranoid, she said. You're smiling behind my back, I said. You're losing it, she snapped. I went home. I called him again. No reply. I cried on my bed. I trusted you, I whispered. Morning came. My boss called me into his office. Sit, he said. Am I fired? I asked. There's a complaint, he said. What complaint? I asked. Harassment, he said. I laughed. What? From a coworker, he said. That's a lie, I said. You touched him, he said. No, I said. You pressured him, he said. No, I said louder. You used your relationship to get favors, he said. I didn't, I said. We're investigating, he said. Who filed this? I asked. He didn't answer. I have proof, I said. Of what? He asked. That I didn't do this, I said. Then show it, he said. I don't have access to emails, I said. We'll call you, he said. I walked out. People stared. Someone said, she deserves it. I called him. No reply. I texted him. They're accusing me. No reply. I went to Lily. They're firing me, I said. She gasped. That's horrible. You did this, I said. You're insane, she said. You lied about me, I said. Why would I do that? She asked. You wanted him, I said. She slapped me. Don't accuse me, she said. I trusted you, I said. You're unstable, she said. She walked away. I went home. I cried until my throat hurt. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I stared at my phone. Nothing. The next day HR called. We're terminating your contract, they said. For what? I asked. Violation of conduct, they said. I didn't do anything, I said. You have no proof, they said. I have no voice, I whispered. You need to leave today, they said. I packed my desk. No one helped me. No one said goodbye. I passed his office. The door was closed. I knocked. No answer. I pressed my forehead against the door. You chose silence, I whispered. I left the building. The city felt cold. My apartment felt empty. I sat on the floor. I'm nothing, I whispered. My phone buzzed. It was Lily. I'm sorry things went this way. I threw my phone. I cried. I blamed myself. I trusted again, I whispered. I was stupid again. Night after night I cried alone. I stared at the ceiling. I deserve this, I whispered. I checked my bank account. Almost empty. I called my best friend. I'm coming home, I said. What happened? She asked. I failed, I said. No, she said. I lost my job, I said. I lost him, I said. I lost everything, I said. She was silent. Come, she said. I packed my bags. I folded my clothes. I held the tiny airplane keychain. You ruined my life, I whispered. I threw it into the trash. I stood at the window. I will never beg for love again, I said. I walked out of the city. I didn't look back. I felt dirty. I felt weak. I felt broken. I felt like a failure. I promised myself something that night. I will never trust anyone again. I will never need anyone again. I will never be this weak again. I didn't know this pain was shaping my rebirth, but my heart knew, and it was hardening. The mansion hums quietly in the morning light. I move through the halls with careful precision, arranging linens, polishing silver, and preparing the rooms for the day. Every motion is deliberate, controlled. I am no longer the timid, invisible maid I once was. From the corner of my eye, I notice Adrian lingering near the staircase, hands clasped behind his back. He watches me as I adjust a vase of lilies in the main hall. Noticing me sends a shiver down my spine. My chest tightens, not with fear but with quiet triumph. He sees me now. My efforts, my care, my subtle gestures, they have not gone unnoticed. Anna, he says quietly, stepping closer. His voice is low, deliberate. The arrangements, very thoughtful. I pause mid-step, keeping my expression neutral. Thank you, sir, I murmur, voice steady. My heart races beneath the surface, but I do not let it show. He studies me for a moment longer, eyes lingering on my hands, the careful way I align the flowers. You're different, he says finally. I tilt my head slightly, masking the thrill his words ignite. I try to improve, sir, I reply softly. He nods but says nothing more, turning away as if leaving the comment unspoken allows it more weight. I watch him go, my chest still fluttering, my mind quietly exhilarated. This is a new balance. I am no longer invisible. My patience, humility, and quiet persistence are shaping perception without confrontation. Meanwhile, Clarissa continues her efforts to assert dominance, though subtle cracks begin to show. Earlier in the kitchen, she attempted to direct the staff with an exaggerated display of authority, only to trip slightly on the edge of a rug. A small clatter, but enough to draw amused glances from the cooks. Are you all right, ma'am? One of the younger maids asks softly, trying to stifle a smile. Clarissa's cheeks flush faintly, her composure faltering for a brief moment. She nods, voice sharp, rehearsed. Yes, I am fine. I watch from the side, unnoticed. A small smile tugs at my lips. Karma, quiet but present, begins its subtle work. Patience, observation, and humility can influence outcomes without a single word of confrontation. I feel a quiet satisfaction at the unfolding balance. Later, in the study, I leave a small note on Adrian's desk, a simple message folded neatly. I thought you might like some fresh tea before your afternoon meeting. I step back, careful to leave the room unseen. Moments later, I see him pause as he enters. He picks up the note, glances at it, and allows a small, fleeting smile. His eyes flick toward me briefly from across the hall, and then he continues with his tasks, thoughtful, restrained. I retreat quietly, heart swelling with silent triumph. I have learned the power of subtle action. Influence can ripple without overt force. My gestures, small and deliberate, leave impressions that are beginning to shape the perception of those around me, even Adrian. During the evening meal, Clarissa's attempts at manipulation continue, but they falter in small, telling ways. She speaks sharply to the staff, attempting to assert authority, yet her words come out clipped, uneven. Several servants exchange small glances, barely noticeable, but enough to erode her dominance. Anna, she says suddenly, voice too bright, pass the bread, will you? I slide the basket toward her, hands steady, eyes neutral. She glances at me briefly, a flicker of surprise crossing her features, before she smooths her expression. The subtle shift is gratifying. I sense that my quiet persistence, combined with her increasing frustration, begins to tilt the invisible scales. Karma is small, quiet, but unmistakable in its first signs. Later, Adrian finds me in the pantry, quietly preparing ingredients for the next day's meals. He leans against the doorway, arms crossed, watching. You're very different now, he says softly. I glance up, neutral expression, hands steady. I try, sir, I reply quietly, carefully. He steps inside, close enough that I sense the faint warmth of his presence. It's not just your work. It's how you carry yourself, how you observe, how you anticipate. You've changed. I feel a flutter of pride, tempered by caution. I try to be thoughtful, sir, I murmur. He studies me for a long moment, then nods, voice low. I've noticed more than you know. I swallow, keeping my composure. His acknowledgement fuels me silently, a quiet power forming within me. I do not need loud praise or recognition. This subtle awareness, this careful observation, is more potent than words could ever be. As the evening progresses, I continue my work, observing every small movement, every glance, every subtle interaction within the mansion. I notice Clarissa's eyes flick toward the kitchen repeatedly, her composure faltering just slightly each time. Her authority, once absolute in these halls, begins to show cracks. I maintain my calm, silent presence. My gestures, small and deliberate, are noted by Adrian and increasingly by the staff. The mansion's subtle social currents are shifting. The power balance, once skewed heavily in Clarissa's favor, begins to adjust quietly, almost imperceptibly. Later I retreat to the garden. The roses sway gently in the night breeze, their fragrance calming yet invigorating. I sit on the stone bench, letting my hands brush along the petals. My thoughts drift to Adrian, to the notes, the tea, the small gestures. I feel a deep satisfaction in the knowledge that patience, humility, and careful observation can create change without confrontation. A shadow moves across the garden path. I look up. Adrian stands a few feet away, hands in pockets, expression unreadable but attentive. "You've been busy," he says softly. I smile faintly, neutral, keeping my composure. I whisper. He steps closer, gaze lingering. "I see everything," he says quietly. "Even when you don't realize it. Your efforts, they matter. More than you know." I feel warmth spread through my chest, tempered by restraint. I do not respond further. Strength, I have learned, is often quiet, deliberate, and unseen. And yet, it ripples outward, influencing perception, shaping the world subtly, like the wind brushing through the garden. He studies me a moment longer, then turns, leaving me to the roses and the night air. I watch him go, heart swelling with quiet triumph. The mansion sleeps, yet I am awake, aware, and quietly influential. I realize fully now that my patience, humility, and subtle actions have begun to shift the invisible balance. Clarissa's manipulations falter. Adrian notices me in new ways. The household too begins to respond to my silent strength. Karma, subtle but certain, is at work. I breathe deeply, touching the locket at my neck. My mother's gift, my anchor, reminds me that endurance, quiet vigilance, and careful action are powerful tools. The mansion, once overwhelming and oppressive, now feels navigable. Every gesture, every note, every cup of tea, is a thread weaving influence silently yet surely. Tonight, I rest with a sense of quiet triumph. Unseen yet observed. Humble yet influential. Patient yet strategically aware. I am no longer passive. I am no longer invisible. The first ripples of change, subtle but undeniable, have begun. And I know, deep in my heart, that patience, humility, and silent action will continue to shape the days ahead. Tomorrow, the mansion will feel different. I am ready. The storm rages outside, rain hammering against the mansion's tall windows. The wind howls through the chimneys, making the grand halls groan under its force. I move quietly down the dimly lit corridor, clutching a tray of tea for Adrian. Something in the air, electric, tense, urges me forward. I find him in the library, seated alone in the armchair by the fireplace. Shadows from the flickering flames dance across his face. His expression is unreadable, yet the storm outside mirrors something inside him. Restlessness, tension, maybe loneliness. "Sir," I whisper, entering carefully. He looks up, surprised but not displeased. "Anna," he says softly. "You didn't have to bring tea, but thank you." I place the tray beside him, hands steady despite the storm's intensity outside. "I thought it might help, sir, a warm cup while you read." He nods, glancing down at the steaming tea. Thoughtful. Very thoughtful. A silence settles between us, broken only by the wind and rain. I consider leaving, but something in his posture, vulnerable, open, makes me hesitate. I feel an unusual pull, an urge to remain. "You seem distant tonight," I say softly, voice low. He chuckles faintly, a bitter edge to it. "Distant? Perhaps. Or weighed down. Life tends to accumulate even for those who seem untouchable." I tilt my head, curious. "What do you mean, sir?" He exhales slowly, eyes staring into the fire. "I've spent my life building walls, Anna. Walls of wealth, of control, of precision. To protect myself. To hide mistakes. Vulnerabilities. The parts of me I fear could be exploited." My chest tightens. Vulnerability. Not arrogance. Not pride. Not the distant, untouchable figure the world sees, but a human being, fragile in ways I never imagined. Everyone has those, sir, I whisper. Moments they hide from the world. Moments they fear will be judged. He turns his gaze toward me, studying me as though seeing me for the first time. Do you really understand that, Anna? Even with your small, quiet life? I nod, heart pounding. I do, sir. I've learned that even the strongest appearances can conceal the deepest fears. A flicker of a smile touches his lips. I suppose that's why I notice you. You see things. You notice the subtle, the quiet, and yet you remain patient, observant, steady, not easily shaken. It's rare. The words wash over me, a wave of warmth and tension. I want to respond, to tell him how much it means to hear that. But I remain composed, understanding the gravity of the moment. I try, sir, I murmur softly, voice steady but tinged with emotion. He leans back in the chair, staring into the flames again. You have no idea how comforting it is to be seen like that. To feel recognized without being judged. To have someone notice the subtleties of effort even when no one else does. I feel my heart swell with empathy, love, and something deeper, an understanding of the man behind the mask. Adrian is human. He is flawed. He feels. He regrets. I'm glad, sir, that you feel understood, I whisper almost reverently. His eyes flick to me, unguarded, for a brief moment. Anna, there are moments when I regret the choices I've made. The trust I've given to people unworthy. The walls I've built so high that even kindness struggles to reach me. And I wonder if I will ever find someone who sees past it all. Someone real. I feel a pang in my chest. My love, quiet and steadfast, feels heavier now, aware of the gap between us, the barriers he's erected. Yet the empathy I feel for him swells, softening the ache of longing. You could be seen, sir, I murmur, voice low, careful. By the right people. By someone who notices even the quietest of gestures. Even the moments you think go unseen. He smiles faintly, a mix of amusement and something I cannot name. Perhaps. But that requires trust, doesn't it? Trust in the one who notices. Trust in their intentions. I nod, understanding the weight behind his words. To be seen fully without judgment requires more than courage. It requires faith. A sudden gust of wind rattles the window panes, drawing our attention to the storm outside. He glances at the lightning flashing across the sky, then back to me. You have changed, Anna, he says quietly. Not just in your work, but in the way you carry yourself. You endure. You observe. You act quietly, deliberately. And yet, you leave traces of yourself, subtle, unseen, but impossible to ignore. I feel my chest tighten, a mixture of pride and vulnerability. He sees me, not entirely, not yet, but enough to recognize my presence. My silent influence. My quiet strength. I try to be steady, sir, I whisper, aware of the tremor in my voice. He leans forward slightly, resting his elbows on his knees. Steady, yes. But more than that, you're remarkable. I didn't expect to meet someone who could challenge me quietly without confrontation. And yet, you do. The words strike me, echoing in the quiet library. Challenge quietly. Influence subtly. Recognition without disruption. I feel a warmth spread through me, tempered by the awareness of the distance still between us. Sir, I begin softly, hesitating. I care about you. I want to help, to support, to be someone you can trust. He freezes slightly, eyes wide, then exhales slowly. Anna, you already are. You already do. I feel my throat tighten. The vulnerability, the unspoken truths, the silent connection. We share them even in the absence of confession. I glance at the window, lightning casting brief, silver shadows across the library. I don't want to overstep, I whisper, voice low. I just wanted you to know that I. He raises a hand gently, stopping me. I know. I understand. And that matters more than you realize. But there is a space between us, isn't there? A gap shaped by circumstance, by caution, by necessity. I nod, swallowing hard. Yes, sir. I understand. He leans back again, eyes returning to the fire. I suppose that's the tragedy of connection sometimes. We feel it, yet circumstances, walls, trust, timing, keep us distant. But he glances at me, quiet, intense. We notice. And that in itself is rare. I feel my heart swell with emotion, empathy, love, and the weight of distance. I have glimpsed behind the mask, seen the man Adrian truly is, human, capable of regret, capable of deep emotion, yet burdened by walls he has built. I sit quietly, letting the moment linger. The storm outside rages on, but within the library, time seems suspended. Lightning flashes again, briefly illuminating the depth in his eyes. "You inspire thought, Anna," he says softly. "Even in silence you move things. Not through words but presence. Quiet action. Observation. It's remarkable." I feel a shiver of recognition and pride. My silent strength, my patient endurance, my subtle gestures, they do not go unnoticed. Even Adrian sees them. "I hope, sir," I whisper, voice steady, "that someday you find someone who sees you fully. Not just your strength, not just your wealth, but you." He smiles faintly, almost rueful. "Perhaps I already have, Anna. Perhaps I already have." The storm continues outside, yet the library feels calm, intimate, suspended in time. I have glimpsed behind the mask. I have seen Adrian, not the distant, untouchable millionaire but the man beneath. Vulnerable, human, capable of emotion, capable of regret. And I understand him more deeply. My heart swells with empathy, love, and the ache of distance. The gap between us remains, but for the first time, I see not just the barriers, but the man beyond them. I take a quiet breath, hands folded in my lap, and whisper to myself, perhaps, understanding is the first step. Perhaps, that is enough for now. The storm rages on. Lightning flashes once more, illuminating the library. Shadows dance across the walls, mirroring the complexity of emotions swirling between us. I rise silently, placing the empty teacup back on the tray. My presence lingers, deliberate, steady. I have seen and I have been seen, enough to feel the stirrings of connection, trust, and understanding. For now, that is all I need. The grand ballroom sparkled under crystal chandeliers, a sea of glittering gowns, tuxedos, and polite smiles. I stood near the periphery, hands folded, mind alert, maintaining the composure that had become my armor. Tonight was the charity gala, Adrian's event, Clarissa's stage, my test. Clarissa glided through the crowd, flawless smile in place, radiating confidence as if the entire world revolved around her. I watched silently, noting every calculated gesture, every forced laugh. Her eyes flicked in my direction once, just enough to register recognition, but I did not respond. I had learned that quiet dignity holds more weight than any display of charm. "Hannah, are you managing all right?" whispered Mrs. Bell as she passed, eyes keen. "Yes, ma'am," I replied softly, keeping my focus. The evening progressed smoothly until the main presentation began, a charity auction followed by speeches. Clarissa, naturally, positioned herself near Adrian, attempting to shine in his glow. But tonight the tide shifted. It began subtly. A tray of champagne she had been gesturing toward wobbled, spilling onto the floor just as she turned to greet a prominent guest. Gasps echoed through the ballroom. She froze, a momentary falter in her poise, and I could see the faint crimson rise on her cheeks. "Oh dear," she whispered, voice trembling slightly, attempting to salvage dignity. Adrian's eyes, across the room, caught mine for a brief moment. There was no harsh judgment, only a subtle acknowledgement. He saw the difference between panic and composure. I stepped forward instinctively, offering a napkin to the staff nearest the spill, guiding them to manage the situation quietly, efficiently. Clarissa's gaze followed my movements, sharp and calculating, but she could not speak, her arrogance faltering under the weight of simple competence. Moments later, she tried to address the guests, voice forced, laughter brittle. A guest's glass tipped against her carefully stacked folder of bids, scattering papers across the floor. The room stilled. The chaos was minor, yet public, and her attempts to regain control only emphasized the embarrassment. I observed silently, hands clasped, maintaining perfect poise. My heart raced quietly, not from triumph but from awareness. Karma, subtle and inevitable, was unfolding. And I remained untouched by it. Adrian approached then, quiet, composed. He did not speak of the mishaps, did not draw attention to them. He walked past Clarissa, eyes scanning the room, and stopped near me. "You handled that well," he murmured, voice low enough for only me to hear. I inclined my head slightly, keeping my expression neutral. "I try to stay composed, sir," I replied softly, heart fluttering beneath the calm exterior. His gaze lingered. Composed and discreet. That speaks volumes. I allowed a faint, almost imperceptible nod. My quiet integrity, patience, and dignity were being noticed. Not by loud displays but by subtle observation. And Adrian, for the first time, seemed to truly measure the character of those around him. Clarissa recovered enough to finish her speech, but the applause felt muted. The staff exchanged discreet glances, whispers passing unnoticed by the guests. Her arrogance, once so commanding, now seemed brittle. Throughout the evening I moved quietly, anticipating needs, offering assistance only when necessary, never overstepping. Each gesture, small and deliberate, contrasted sharply with Clarissa's flustered attempts at control. The difference was palpable. Even the staff, previously cautious, now seemed to respect my calm efficiency. Adrian's attention shifted subtly throughout the evening. He lingered near me, observing without words, eyes scanning not just my actions but my demeanor. His subtle smiles, the occasional glance of recognition, the quiet acknowledgement of effort, all reinforced the growing awareness of loyalty and character. At one point, a mismanaged hors d'oeuvre tray threatened to spill near Clarissa. She flailed, attempting to prevent disaster, only drawing more attention to herself. I stepped forward, hands steady, guiding the staff with gentle authority. Adrian's eyes followed every movement, noting the contrast between panic and calm, arrogance and quiet control. Later, when the speeches concluded, Adrian approached me as the crowd began to disperse. "Tonight, you were remarkable," he said softly, voice low, deliberate. "Not for show, not for recognition, but simply because you remained composed when others faltered." I swallowed, heart beating rapidly, maintaining calm. "I try, sir," I whispered, careful not to overstep. He nodded, gaze intense. "You do more than try. You act. You influence quietly without drawing attention to yourself. And in doing so, you reveal character. True loyalty. Integrity." I felt warmth rise in my chest, tempered by humility. Adrian's acknowledgement was quiet, personal, yet it carried weight far greater than public praise ever could. Meanwhile, Clarissa attempted to recover, offering a forced smile to a guest who had witnessed the earlier mishap. The contrast could not have been starker. The staff's subtle nods to me, Adrian's silent recognition, my own calm composure, all highlighted the disparity between display and substance. Karma was not loud. It did not strike with spectacle. It rippled quietly, observed by those who mattered most. After the final guests departed, the ballroom emptied, leaving the echo of footsteps and the faint scent of spilled champagne. I lingered near the entrance, ensuring the staff managed cleanup with discretion. Adrian appeared beside me, quiet, composed. "Anna," he said softly, eyes reflecting the dim light of the chandeliers. "Tonight, clarified much for me. About loyalty. About character. About people." I inclined my head slightly, voice measured. I hope, sir, that everything went smoothly." He smiled faintly, expression unreadable yet thoughtful. "It did. And it revealed more than any display of wealth or charm could. You handled yourself with dignity. Quietly but unmistakably. That will not go unnoticed." I felt a swell of pride, tempered by awareness. My role remained silent, subtle yet impactful. The mansion, the household, Adrian, each was beginning to notice in ways beyond words. Clarissa, meanwhile, departed with a stiff smile, clearly aware that the evening had not gone entirely as she intended. Her arrogance, once a shield, had proven brittle. And though she would attempt recovery, the seeds of consequence were sown. Karma, patient and precise, had begun its work. Later, in the quiet of the mansion's corridors, I found a moment to breathe, hands brushing over the polished banister. My heart beat steadily, mindful, calm. Tonight had been a test, not of skill, not of charm, but of patience, integrity, and composure under pressure. And I had passed. Adrian approached silently, hand resting lightly on the banister beside mine. "You were remarkable tonight, Anna. I have always noticed, but tonight, it became undeniable." I kept my gaze forward, voice steady. "I try, sir." His eyes softened. "And that is what matters. Actions. Integrity. Loyalty. Quiet strength. All of it. You embody it." The weight of his words settled over me, warm and steady. He had seen beyond charm and manipulation, beyond appearances, into the essence of character. And in doing so, he was beginning to reevaluate not just his perceptions but his relationships, and perhaps, his feelings. I inclined my head, silent acknowledgement enough. My heart swelled, tempered by the knowledge that true recognition often comes quietly, not with fanfare, but with careful observation and awareness. As we moved through the empty corridors together, I sensed a subtle shift, not just in Adrian but in the mansion itself. Karma, patience, and silent integrity were shaping outcomes. My quiet composure, my dignity, and my subtle influence had begun to manifest consequences for those who acted with arrogance and selfishness. I realized fully, that power does not always announce itself with noise. It often works in silence, observed only by those capable of seeing the truth beneath the surface. And tonight, that truth had been revealed. The morning sunlight streamed through the tall windows of the mansion, casting long golden beams across the polished floors. I moved through the halls with purpose, a clipboard in hand, lists and schedules carefully checked. Today was no ordinary day. Adrian had asked me to organize the spring gala, a major event that would bring together influential guests, charity donors, and society's elite. It was a responsibility I had never imagined being entrusted with, yet here I was. My hands trembled slightly as I reviewed the final seating arrangements, but only for a moment. I had prepared for this, studied the layouts, anticipated each detail. This was my chance to demonstrate that my dedication, intelligence, and quiet strength were more than small gestures. They mattered. Anna, Adrian's voice broke my concentration. He stood near the doorway, observing with that quiet intensity one had grown accustomed to. Everything is ready for the final walkthrough? I turned, maintaining my composure. Yes, sir. I've checked the arrangements, coordinated with the staff, and confirmed the vendors. Everything should proceed smoothly. He stepped closer, eyes scanning the clipboard in my hands. I trust you completely. Your attention to detail, it's impressive. A flicker of warmth rose in my chest, tempered by the awareness that praise from Adrian carried more weight than any public acknowledgement. Thank you, sir, I said softly, voice steady. I will want everything to reflect the mansion well and your efforts for the charity. He nodded, gaze lingering on me longer than usual. You have a way of making it seem effortless, when I know how much work goes into it. I noticed the care, Anna. Always. I allowed myself a subtle smile. His recognition, quiet but deliberate, was validation of all the silent hours, the careful observation, the patient endurance. My transformation, the shift from invisible maid to competent, influential presence, was no longer hidden. Adrian was noticing. Clarissa, meanwhile, fluttered into the room like a bird startled, attempting her usual air of control. Anna, she said, voice sharp and measured, have you finalized the arrangements for the main hall? I trust everything is perfect. I looked at her, calm, collected, tone neutral. Yes, Clarissa. Everything has been arranged according to the specifications, with adjustments for comfort and accessibility. The staff has been briefed on timing and coordination. Her smile faltered slightly, brittle, as if my composure unsettled her. Good, very good, she said, voice tight, stepping back. Adrian's eyes followed the exchange, subtle but unmistakable. He observed the contrast between her strained insistence and my steady assurance. The difference was clear to him. Loyalty, competence, and quiet strength stood against arrogance and performance. Later, as we walked through the mansion's grand halls, reviewing details for the evening, I felt the shift more tangibly. Adrian asked questions, not to test me but to gauge perspective, to involve me in decisions. His voice held respect, his tone collaborative rather than commanding. You've considered the lighting for the main hall? He asked quietly, glancing at me. Yes, sir, I replied. I chose warm tones to enhance the ambience and highlight the floral arrangements. It will also create a comfortable environment for the guests, making interactions more natural. He nodded thoughtfully. Good. And the seating? I trust your judgment on the placement of our key donors. I allowed a faint, confident smile. Yes, sir. I've positioned them to encourage conversation, maximize engagement, and maintain balance. I've also included discreet spacing for privacy where needed. He paused, studying me. You've truly thought of everything. Impressive, Anna. More than I expected. I kept my expression neutral, hiding the thrill of recognition. Adrian's acknowledgement was subtle, but it carried power far beyond words. I felt a quiet satisfaction, realizing that the emotional and power dynamics were shifting. I was no longer invisible. He was beginning to recognize not only my feelings but my capabilities. The evening arrived, and the mansion transformed into a spectacle of elegance. Guests arrived, laughter and chatter filling the halls. I moved among them quietly, ensuring details ran smoothly, observing without interference. Every subtle adjustment, every discreet intervention, reinforced my presence without overt display. Clarissa, predictably, attempted to assert dominance, positioning herself in the center of attention. But tonight her efforts faltered. A minor miscommunication regarding seating caused a ripple of embarrassment. I intervened quietly, guiding the staff to correct the issue without fanfare. Adrian noticed. His gaze lingered on me, brief but full of recognition, a subtle acknowledgement of competence and poise. Later, as the gala reached its peak, Adrian approached me in the library, away from the crowd. The warm glow of the fireplace reflected in his eyes, drawing me in. "You've done exceptionally well tonight, Anna," he said softly. "Not just the arrangements but how you handled the situation with Clarissa. Calm, discreet, effective." I inclined my head, hands folded, voice steady. "I try to remain composed, sir. I want to serve efficiently." He stepped closer, gaze fixed on mine. "It's more than service. You've demonstrated intelligence, foresight, and patience. Leadership even in quiet ways. And tonight, it's undeniable." My chest tightened. His words, deliberate and soft, held a weight I had never experienced. The power shift was real. My hidden transformation, the subtle development of skill, patience, and quiet authority, was recognized. "You've changed," he continued, voice low. "Not just in capability but in presence. You no longer fade into the background. You influence the space, the people, the outcomes." I felt a surge of both pride and vulnerability. I have tried, sir," I whispered, careful not to overstep, aware of the delicate balance. Adrian's gaze softened. "You've succeeded. I've noticed more than I expected. Not just your skill but your heart, your dedication. Everything you've done quietly, it speaks volumes." The weight of his acknowledgement settled over me. He had seen my growth, my resilience, and the depth of my feelings without needing a grand confession. Recognition had shifted the dynamics between us, subtly but irrevocably. Clarissa appeared then, attempting a graceful entrance, her smile forced. Adrian's gaze flicked toward her, then returned to me. I saw the quiet realization in his eyes. He understood the contrast, the difference between true competence and forced performance, between loyalty and self-interest. The power had shifted. I remained composed, standing with poise, allowing the evening to flow. Each gesture, each subtle intervention, reinforced my presence. Adrian's attention lingered, not in obligation but in recognition, curiosity, and perhaps a deepening awareness of his own feelings. Later, as the final guests departed, Adrian lingered near the grand staircase. "Anna," he said softly, voice intimate, deliberate, "tonight clarified much. About loyalty, capability, and character. About who can be trusted, and who reveals true intent under pressure." I inclined my head, voice low and steady. I hope I have met your expectations, sir." "You've exceeded them," he murmured. "And, more than that, you've revealed something important. That influence, respect, and admiration can come quietly, without display, without demand, simply through integrity and strength." I felt warmth rise, tempered by humility. The mansion, once an intimidating labyrinth of hierarchy and expectation, now felt navigable. My transformation, silent, deliberate, hidden, was acknowledged. The power dynamics had shifted. I was no longer invisible. Adrian's perception, understanding, and perhaps even feelings had changed. I glanced toward Clarissa, who hovered awkwardly near the exit. Her smile no longer reached her eyes, her confidence diminished. The contrast could not have been clearer. Karma, patience, and integrity had quietly demonstrated their power. Adrian's hand brushed lightly against my arm as he spoke again. "You've earned more than notice, Anna. You've earned respect. And perhaps something more, though that requires time and understanding." I swallowed, heart fluttering beneath calm composure. "I understand, sir," I murmured softly. He nodded, gaze lingering, acknowledging the subtle yet undeniable transformation. The mansion was quiet now, empty but for us. The gala, the performance, the test of patience and skill, all had demonstrated the shift. Power, I realized fully, is often unseen. Influence works quietly through action, integrity, and patience. Tonight, that truth had been made clear. And Adrian had begun to see me as more than a silent observer. As I stepped back, hands folded, I felt the weight of the moment settle. The mansion was no longer a place where I faded into shadows. I had emerged, respected, acknowledged, and quietly influential. And Adrian had noticed. The late afternoon sun slanted through the tall windows of the drawing room, illuminating dust motes that danced lazily in the warm light. I stood near the fireplace, arranging books on the mantel, a quiet task I had chosen to occupy myself before the evening. The mansion felt unusually tense, the air thick with unspoken words and unresolved tension. A sharp voice cut through the stillness. "Anna?" I froze. Clarissa's figure appeared at the doorway, posture rigid, eyes glinting with calculated fury. She stepped forward, heels clicking against the polished floor. We need to talk. Now. I set the last book down calmly, turning to face her. Clarissa, I said evenly. What is it? Her lips curved into a thin smile, brittle and sharp. You think you can insinuate yourself into everything, don't you? Every event, every decision, always present, always interfering. Do you have no idea who you're dealing with? I met her gaze steadily, hands clasped in front of me. I only try to do my work well, Clarissa. I do not interfere. I ensure things run smoothly. Her laugh was low, cutting. Smoothly? You've been undermining me all along, haven't you? Planting ideas, influencing decisions, stealing attention. I inhaled slowly, heart steady, refusing to rise to her provocation. I haven't tried to steal anything. I act as I've been asked and I remain professional. That is all. She stepped closer, voice dropping to a hiss. Professional? You think your quiet composure matters? That Adrian would notice you over me? I held her gaze, unwavering. Perhaps he sees things differently than you expect. Her eyes narrowed. Arrogant maid. You think you can take what's mine? What's already promised? I felt a chill, but my composure remained intact. Nothing is promised, Clarissa. And loyalty, integrity, and patience speak louder than arrogance. Perhaps you should consider that. She flinched at the words as if struck by their quiet certainty. Her breath hitched slightly, anger and disbelief mingling in her expression. How dare you? Before she could continue, a voice rang out behind her, strong, controlled, but with undeniable emotion. Clarissa. That is enough. Adrian stood in the doorway, eyes fixed on her. He took a step forward, presence commanding yet measured. I've watched this unfold for far too long. I've observed patience, composure, and quiet dedication. And I've observed arrogance, manipulation, and deceit. Clarissa turned sharply toward him, mouth opening, but he continued, unwavering. Your schemes, your attempts to control and manipulate. I've seen them all. And I chose to overlook them, thinking perhaps they were misunderstandings. Her face paled. Adrian. He held up a hand. No, not now. Not excuses. Tonight, I acknowledge what has been right in front of me. I ignored betrayal, while the one who has remained loyal, discreet, and steadfast has been here all along. Anna. I felt my chest tighten, a mix of relief, anticipation, and nervousness. Adrian's gaze was on me, intense, acknowledging, almost reverent. You, Clarissa whispered, voice trembling. You, the maid? You've been influencing him? I met Adrian's eyes, then back at Clarissa. I've only acted with integrity, Clarissa. I have not sought to manipulate. I have remained true to my duties and myself. That is all. Adrian's expression softened, a flicker of admiration passing through his eyes. What she says is true. Anna has shown resilience, patience, and intelligence beyond what I expected. She has earned recognition, not through deceit or performance, but through honesty and care. Clarissa's face twisted, disbelief and rage fighting for dominance. How could you favor her over me? He shook his head slowly, voice firm but calm. It was never about favor. It was about character. And the contrast tonight could not be clearer. Your arrogance has consequences, Clarissa. Your self-interest has been revealed. And Anna has proven her worth without claiming it. I felt a surge of quiet strength. The power I had cultivated silently, the patience and composure, had reached its apex. Adrian's acknowledgement validated every careful step, every subtle gesture I had made. Clarissa, trembling now, attempted one last attack. You think you can take him? You, the maid? How dare you? Adrian's gaze shifted to me, steady, unwavering. Anna, you do not seek to take. You seek only to serve well, to act with integrity, and to be true. That is more than enough. I swallowed hard, feeling my heart flutter. Sir. He stepped closer, voice low and deliberate. You've been here all along. I've watched and I've ignored my own feelings, my own oversights. And tonight, I recognize them. I recognize you. Clarissa stepped back as if struck, and I could see the full impact of her schemes collapsing in the quiet acknowledgement between Adrian and me. You've ignored me, she hissed, voice breaking. All this time. Adrian's expression hardened slightly, the last trace of tolerance slipping away. I've observed. I've weighed my choices. And I choose to acknowledge integrity, not manipulation. I choose to see the truth before me. And that truth is Anna. I felt tears prick my eyes, not of fear, not of weakness, but of release. The tension, the months of silent observation, the quiet endurance, all culminated in this moment. I had been seen truly and my presence mattered. Clarissa, realization dawning, staggered back. You can't, you're nothing to him. Adrian's gaze, sharp and commanding, held her in place. Enough. The truth does not require your approval. The consequences of your actions speak for themselves. She turned abruptly and left the room, the click of her heels echoing down the hall. The air seemed lighter, charged with relief and tension, a battlefield cleared. Adrian finally exhaled, eyes softening as he turned toward me. Anna, I should have acknowledged you sooner. I should have seen the loyalty, the care, the patience. I regret not realizing it earlier. I blinked back, tears, voice trembling slightly. Sir, it is understood. You saw and you recognized it. That is enough for me. He reached out, hand brushing mine gently, a subtle yet deliberate touch. No, Anna, it is more than enough. I see you fully. Not as a maid. Not as someone silent in the background. But as someone capable, strong, and remarkable. Someone I value deeply. My chest tightened, emotions swelling. Sir, care for you. I have always cared. Quietly, yes, but deeply. His eyes softened, and I could see the truth reflected there, recognition, admiration, and regret for the time lost. Anna, I feel the same. I ignored my own feelings, blinded by circumstance, arrogance, and oversight. But no longer. You have my full attention now. The room seemed to hum with energy, a tangible shift in the air. The confrontation had reached its peak, not in loud accusation, but in the quiet acknowledgement of truth, loyalty, and feelings long suppressed. I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. The tension, the months of silent endurance, the careful cultivation of composure and patience, all had led to this moment of emotional clarity. Adrian stepped closer, voice low, steady. You have strength beyond what I expected. Not just resilience, but integrity. And you have earned recognition, respect, and my trust. All of it. I met his gaze, feeling the depth of sincerity in his eyes. Sir, I accept. And I am grateful for your acknowledgement. He nodded, a small, almost shy smile touching his lips. Grateful, yes. And yet, more than gratitude, there is something I've kept from you. Something I should have acknowledged long ago. My own regret. My oversight. My blindness to what mattered most. Tears threatened to spill, but I held them back, feeling the mixture of relief, pride, and love. Sir, your recognition, your honesty, it is more than I could have hoped for. He took a step closer, gaze unwavering. Anna, you have been remarkable. And I regret not noticing sooner. But I will not waste another moment. I see you. I value you. I want you. The words hung in the air, heavy, charged with emotion. I felt my chest swell, heart racing, and a tear slip down my cheek. Sir, I want to be seen, acknowledged, and to matter. I do. I care for you. Adrian reached out, gently taking my hand in both of his. And you do, Anna. You always have. And now, I will not overlook it. I see you. Truly. The room, once tense with confrontation, now seemed calm, bathed in sunlight and resolution. The confrontation had passed, leaving clarity, recognition, and a subtle promise of connection. I exhaled slowly, feeling a deep sense of inner strength and fulfillment. The betrayal had been confronted, Adrian's regret acknowledged, and my own integrity validated. For the first time, the mansion felt like a place of possibility, where love, recognition, and emotional truth could exist alongside patience, composure, and quiet strength. And I had emerged seen, acknowledged, and valued. The mansion was quiet, a rare silence settling over the rooms after the chaos of the gala and the confrontation. I sat in the study, hands folded over my lap, heart still thrumming from the emotional storm that had passed. The flickering firelight cast shadows across the walls, and I found myself staring at the mantel, lost in thought. Adrian entered without knocking, a gesture unusual but fitting now after everything. His expression was measured, eyes soft, reflecting regret and vulnerability I had never seen in him before. Anna, he began, voice low, deliberate. I owe you an apology. Not just for tonight, but for the months I failed to see what was always in front of me. I regret not noticing your devotion, your patience, your integrity. I swallowed hard, heart tightening. The words were sincere, but the weight of months of silence, misunderstanding, and my own pride made it difficult to respond immediately. Sir, I appreciate your honesty, truly. But, I paused, choosing words carefully, it is not easy to undo months of oversight. Feelings, and trust, they are delicate. He nodded, stepping closer, his eyes searching mine. I know. And I do not expect everything to be forgiven instantly. I only ask that you understand my regret is genuine. Have been blind and I wish I could turn back time. But I cannot. All I can do is be honest now. And hope you will hear me. I felt a mix of warmth, anger, disappointment, and lingering love swirling inside me. Months of silent observation, quiet affection, and subtle endurance had led to this moment. I realized how much I had grown, not just in patience but in understanding my own worth, my own power, my own independence. Sir, I whispered, voice steady despite the fluttering in my chest. I have learned to rely on myself. I have learned that my value does not come solely from recognition or affection. I am no longer invisible to myself. His hand lifted slightly, hesitant, as if reaching out but unsure. Anna, I see you, fully. And I want to make amends. Not to erase the past, but to honor the truth of who you are. I studied him, the flicker of vulnerability in his eyes, the tension in his posture. I realized this was more than a plea for forgiveness, it was an acknowledgement of his own failings, his own blindness, his own growth. And I had a choice. I care for you, sir, I admitted softly, but I also know that love without recognition of oneself can be dangerous. I must decide if accepting your affection now is a step forward, or a compromise of the strength I've worked to cultivate. His gaze softened, a flicker of understanding passing through. Anna, I do not seek to compromise you. I only wish to walk beside you, acknowledging fully who you are and what you've endured. I am prepared to wait. To earn your trust, to respect your choice. I felt a tear slip down my cheek, quickly brushed away. Sir, your words, they are meaningful. But I must be sure that my heart does not bind itself blindly again. I have learned to see clearly, to weigh actions and to choose wisely. He nodded, voice gentle. I understand. And I will accept your choice whatever it may be. But know this, Anna, you are seen, valued, and cherished. I took a deep breath, letting the firelight and the stillness of the room anchor me. My mind replayed the months of hardship, the quiet observations, the small acts of care I had offered without expectation, the betrayals I had endured, the silent recognition I had finally received. I choose to recognize both of us, I said finally, voice steady, carrying weight. I see your regret, your honesty, and your acknowledgement of what I've endured. And I also see myself. I will not abandon the strength I have cultivated. But I am willing to explore what may come with eyes open and heart aware. Adrian's eyes softened and a faint, almost tentative smile touched his lips. Anna, that is all I could ever hope for. And I will honor it. I will not take your strength for granted. I will strive to walk beside you, not above you, not blind to your worth. I nodded, feeling the weight of months lifting. The mansion, the grandeur, the silent corridors that had once felt so intimidating, now seemed welcoming. The acknowledgement of truth, the confrontation of betrayal, and the recognition of growth had transformed not just Adrian's perception but my own. Sir, I said softly, voice gaining strength, I have learned to care for myself. And now I allow myself to consider caring for you, with the knowledge that my heart remains aware, resilient, and free. He stepped closer, hands gentle as he reached for mine. Anna, I will never ask you to surrender that freedom. I only wish to stand beside you, fully aware of who you are and what you deserve. A quiet warmth filled the room. For the first time I felt balance, not submission, not expectation, but choice. I realized that true love did not demand blindness, did not require compromise of self. It asked only for honesty, respect, and mutual acknowledgement. I accept, sir, I said softly, holding his gaze. Not blindly, but with awareness and with hope. He smiled then, a small, luminous expression that reached his eyes. Anna, that is more than I could have asked for. And I will cherish it. I promise. The room seemed to breathe with us, a quiet harmony settling over the study. Months of tension, patience, observation, and quiet endurance had culminated in this delicate balance of power, love, and recognition. I am proud of myself, I whispered almost to myself, feeling the culmination of growth, patience, and resilience. I have endured. I have grown. And now, I choose. Not because of fear or desire, but because of clarity and strength. Adrian's hand squeezed mine gently, anchoring me in the present. And that choice is what makes this real. Not the past, not regret, not fear. But choice. Your choice, Anna. I let a slow smile form, tears welling but not falling. Yes, my choice. I choose wisely. He drew closer, voice soft, intimate. And I will honor it. Always. Your strength, your integrity, your heart, all of it. I see it. I see you. I felt the warmth spread through me, the quiet satisfaction of having endured, the pride of recognizing my own worth, and the gentle thrill of mutual acknowledgement. The mansion, the quiet halls, the flickering fire, all became a sanctuary, a witness to the power of patience, growth, and moral clarity. Sir, I whispered, voice barely audible, thank you for seeing me, truly seeing me, for acknowledging my devotion, my strength, and my choices. He smiled, soft and genuine. Anna, it was always there. I only failed to notice. But now, I do. And I will not fail again. The weight of regret, the months of oversight, the silent endurance, it all settled into clarity. I felt a sense of resolve, strength, and emotional maturity. The past could not be erased, but the future was mine to shape, alongside someone who now truly saw me. I am ready, I whispered, holding his gaze. Ready to walk forward, with awareness, strength, and hope. Adrian's eyes shone, filled with warmth, regret transformed into promise. Then let us walk forward together, Anna. With truth, clarity, and choice. I nodded, heart steady, and for the first time in months, felt the equilibrium of recognition, love, and self-respect. My moral clarity, my emotional maturity, and my ability to choose freely had not only preserved my independence but also allowed the possibility of shared affection, fully conscious and acknowledged. The mansion, once a stage for trials, observations, and subtle tests, now felt like a place of balance. I had endured betrayal, cultivated strength, and faced my own emotions. And in doing so, I had arrived at a place of moral certainty, emotional maturity, and empowered choice. Sir, I am grateful, I said softly, for your honesty, your acknowledgement, and your promise. He drew me into a quiet embrace, not possessive, not demanding, but respectful, honoring the balance between recognition, affection, and independence. Anna, and I am grateful for you. For your strength, your heart, and your choice. I felt warmth spread through me, a quiet yet powerful sense of completion. Not the end, but the beginning, of understanding, mutual respect, and careful love, guided by choice rather than expectation, awareness rather than blind emotion. And in that embrace, I realized, my resolve, my strength, my patience, and my clarity had not only preserved my independence, but had allowed love to exist fully, consciously, and without compromise. The mansion was quiet, bathed in the golden light of late afternoon. I walked through the hallways with a calm I had not known before, steps steady, heart balanced, mind clear. Months of silent observation, patience, and endurance had led me to this moment, and the weight of what had passed, the betrayals, the misunderstandings, the manipulations, had finally settled into clarity. I paused by the window in the drawing room, watching the sunlight dance across the manicured gardens. It was the same garden where I had once let tears fall in private, where my heart had been vulnerable and exposed. Now I felt strength mingled with a quiet joy, a sense of empowerment that had been earned through patience, integrity, and resilience. A soft knock at the door drew my attention. Adrian stepped in, expression open, calm, and yet carrying the weight of the past months. His eyes found mine immediately, and I saw in them understanding, respect, and a hint of hopeful anticipation. Anna, he began, voice low, almost reverent. I wanted to see you. I wanted to speak with you alone. I nodded, gesturing for him to sit. Sir, you need not make it formal. We've shared enough now, haven't we? He smiled faintly, the corner of his lips turning up in a gesture that held warmth and relief. Perhaps. But some things still need saying. Some truths still need acknowledgement. I leaned back, hands resting lightly in my lap, heart steady. Sir, I am listening. He drew a slow breath. Anna, I have reflected on everything, on my blindness, my oversight, my mistakes. And I wish to make things right. Not just with words, but with actions, with respect, with sincerity. I felt the warmth of his gaze, but my own heart remained guarded, tempered by the lessons I had learned. Sir, I appreciate that, truly. But I must be honest, my own heart has been shaped by these experiences. I have grown and I cannot simply surrender myself blindly again. Adrian's expression softened. I understand. And I will not ask you to. I only wish to stand beside you, acknowledging fully who you are and what you deserve. I respect the choices you've made, the strength you've cultivated, and the heart you've preserved. I inhaled slowly, letting the words settle. There was honesty here, a sincerity that resonated deeply with my own sense of self. The months of patient endurance, subtle care, and quiet observation had finally led to a space where recognition and affection could coexist with autonomy and respect. Sir, I have always cared for you, I admitted softly, but I also know that love without recognition of oneself can be dangerous. I must ensure that if I open my heart, it is on terms that honor my own strength and dignity. He nodded, reaching out to gently take my hand. Anna, I would never ask you to compromise that. I only wish to walk beside you, not to overshadow you, not to blind you to your own worth. I see you. Truly. I felt a warmth spread through me, a quiet thrill tempered by pride and self-respect. Sir, I am willing to open my heart, but only with the awareness that it remains my own, guided by choice and not expectation. His hand tightened slightly around mine and his gaze deepened. Anna, that is all I could ever hope for. And I will honor it. I promise. Every day I will honor it. I nodded slowly, letting the tension in my shoulders ease. The mansion, once a place of silent suffering and observation, now felt alive with possibility. Every corridor, every room, every quiet corner that had witnessed my tears and endurance now seemed to glow with potential, with the promise of mutual respect and shared understanding. Sir, I whispered, voice trembling slightly with emotion. I have endured betrayal, hardship, and silence. And now, I choose to allow love to exist alongside my independence, my strength, and my clarity. Adrian's eyes softened, and he smiled, almost shyly. Anna, that is more than I could have asked for. And I will not take it lightly. I will cherish your trust, your heart, and your strength. I felt tears prick my eyes, but I held them back, savoring the quiet victory of recognition, of earned respect, of love chosen rather than assumed. Sir, I am ready. Ready to walk forward, fully aware, fully myself, and open to what may come. He stepped closer, gently brushing a strand of hair from my face. Then, let us walk forward together, Anna. Not with haste, not with expectation, but with awareness, respect, and mutual care. I nodded, the weight of the past months lifting, replaced by a serene sense of empowerment. Yes, together. On terms that honor both of us. He smiled, a light, genuine expression that reached his eyes. Anna, it is rare to find someone who commands both strength and grace. And I am grateful beyond words that you allow me to be part of your life on your terms. I felt a quiet thrill, a deep satisfaction that was both vindication and reward. Clarissa was gone from the equation, her schemes undone, her arrogance exposed. Karma had played its quiet role and I had remained steadfast, dignified, and true. Sir, I have grown through all of this, I said softly. I have learned patience, resilience, and the power of choice. And now, I choose wisely with clarity and with hope. Adrian's gaze was unwavering, filled with admiration, sincerity, and affection. Anna, and that choice is the most beautiful thing I have witnessed. Not the past, not regret, not fear. But choice. Your choice. And I will honor it always. I felt my heart swell, steady and assured. Sir, I open my heart to you. But it remains guided by my awareness, my strength, and my dignity. I will not surrender it blindly again. He nodded, a gentle smile gracing his lips. Anna, that is all I could ever hope for. And I will walk beside you, respecting every part of who you are, every choice you make, and every moment of your heart. The mansion seemed to breathe around us, the quiet halls echoing with the resolution of conflict, the acknowledgement of loyalty, and the promise of something new, something earned, chosen, and mutual. I feel vindicated, I whispered almost to myself. Not by recognition alone, but by my ability to endure, to grow, and to choose freely. Adrian's hand squeezed mine gently, anchoring me in the present. And that is why this matters, Anna. Not just for me, not just for us, but for you. For your heart, your strength, your clarity. Honor it. And I honor you. I allowed a slow smile to form, tears welling but unfallen, savoring the quiet triumph of integrity and choice. Sir, am ready. Ready for a future, shaped by respect, awareness, and mutual care. He drew me into a gentle embrace, not possessive, not demanding, but respectful, honoring the balance between affection and autonomy. Anna, and I am ready too. Ready to walk beside you as equals, as partners, fully aware, fully present, and fully committed. I felt warmth spread through me, a sense of empowerment and completion. The mansion, once a place of silent suffering and quiet observation, now felt like a sanctuary, a space where love was acknowledged, strength respected, and hearts could connect without compromise or fear. I am grateful, I whispered, resting my head lightly against his chest. For your honesty, your respect, and your promise. And I am grateful for you, he murmured, voice soft, steady. For your patience, your strength, and the courage to choose consciously and wisely. I felt a quiet sense of closure settle over me. The karmic balance had been restored, the betrayals resolved, and the emotional stakes honored. I had been seen, acknowledged, and valued. I had endured, grown, and now reclaimed my heart on my own terms. Sir, I am ready to move forward, I whispered, heart steady. Not with fear, not with hesitation, but with clarity, awareness, and hope. Adrian's arms tightened gently around me, a promise of understanding, sincerity, and mutual respect. Anna, then let us move forward, together. Fully, consciously, and with hearts reclaimed. I closed my eyes, savoring the moment, the calm, the warmth, the balance of acknowledgement and choice. For the first time, the mansion felt like a home, a place of empowerment, love, and respect. And in that quiet embrace, I realized, love could be earned, respect could be maintained, and hearts could be reclaimed, not through submission or compromise but through patience, integrity, and the power of conscious choice. I had reclaimed my heart, and for the first time it felt entirely, wholly, and truly mine.